Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Career Coach Reacts. My name is Martin McGovern, founder of Career Therapy. And in these episodes, we're going to be taking a look at viral LinkedIn news articles and react to what people are saying out in the ether, out in the world of the job search and the career climber and the success chaser, whatever's going on out there. We're going to take a look at it and we're going to see how does it stack up to what I'm seeing every day working with clients who are in the midst of a job hunt. How does this advice, how do these opinions, how do these thoughts, how does all this stuff that's out there actually align to our day-to-day job search work? So today we've got an interesting article, a series of comments as well, about hustle culture. It says hustle culture is so 2020. And I would even go as far as to say it's so 2015, 2012, 2010. I graduated college back in 2010, and that was sort of at the beginning stages of when I saw this sort of hustle culture mentality starting to take over in the startup world in Chicago, where I was going to places like 1871, hitting up networking events every night and doing a whole bunch of stuff to further our career. Now, where does the line end between building your career and just putting in the work and overdoing it to this sort of toxic level of hustle culture, which used to be admired and is now being demonized? Where is that line? How do we know? It's kind of a tough one to figure out, and each of us has to do our own work on it. But let's see what people are saying in the ether. Let's see what people are saying out in the world in regards to hustle culture now that we're heading into 2022 and we've gone through a pandemic, and it's sort of shook up our entire view of things and how we interact with our lives and our work and how those two things come together, right? So jumping into this article, it says, after a long and stressful day at work, have you ever thought to yourself, wow, I wish I could work more? Well, for many of us, the answer is no, yet we've spent so much time overworking. In a viral post on LinkedIn, recruiting expert Joel Lagy, hopefully I said that correctly, shares that he's taking the most time off in 7 years to care for his newborn. And it made him realize that he's glamorized hustle culture. Read the lesson that he learned during his break in this post, and we're going to do just that. Now, one thing before we even get into this article, I want to point out that this realization happened for Joel after he had a newborn. And I think it's important when you're looking at articles online and you're analyzing what other people are saying and trying to apply it to your life, it's important to realize that his situation is not your situation, right? My situation is not your situation. Most advice that we get comes from a person who's at a certain time and place in their life, right? So hustle culture, while definitely not the way Joel should be going about things now with his new priorities and his new kid and all these new things, doesn't necessarily mean that the effort he put in doing the hustle prior didn't set him up for a better life for him and his kid. So I think this is one of those sort of cyclical things that we see where people who go like balls to the wall, the Casey Neistats of the world, creating videos every day, the epitome of hustle culture, the Gary V's, right? The Tim Ferrisses. We look at them and we go, holy cow, they're amazing. Like, I want to be like that. And now they're all living these sort of, well, Gary's still going crazy, but you see Casey and you see Tim Ferriss, you see them taking a step back and having a bit more of a balanced life and a bit more of a mindful life. And you see this all the time. You see this with artists who, killed themselves for a decade to get the notoriety that they needed, only to then tell everyone, you should just relax and chill. This hustle culture thing isn't worth it, right? But then you look at it and you go, well, wait a second. You had to go through that to get there. So maybe I need to go through that to get there. And that's the big question. Do you need to go through it to get there? It's a hard one to figure out. But maybe Joel needed to hustle in order to get to where he's at. Maybe he didn't. Let's see what he has to say. I feel guilty and ashamed admitting this, Joel says, but here it goes. This is the most amount of time I've taken off in 7 years. That's a long time. How much time has he taken off? He doesn't really specify here, but what I find so interesting about it is that immediately as the reader, as someone who's trying to glean some advice off of this, you start comparing yourself to Joel. You say, how much time have I taken off in the past 7 years? Do I take time off? Should I take time off? Maybe I should take more time off. And the more of these articles we read, the more we get into a comparative mindset. And it can kind of screw you up, right? So in his post, he says he's glamorized hustle culture. He bought into the entrepreneur lifestyle, which is one of my favorite terms that's out here now, of working endlessly as depicted on social media. This week has been one of the most amazing weeks of Joel's life. He's been up early in the morning hours, helping out with their newborn son and trying to give his wife a break. He's become infinitely closer to his daughter, who he has gone on little walks with, enjoyed morning games, and enjoyed little daddy-daughter dates. And the biggest realization is how precious life is and how we can rob ourselves of what life is really about when we focus on trying to keep up with what we see on social media. Keeping up with the Joneses, even, Hustler of the Year Gary Vee says, don't keep up with the Joneses. Figure out what works for you and go at your own pace, right? So, what are we supposed to pull away from this? Well, in Joel's case, what he's doing is he's taking the next few weeks off, and he's extremely thankful for being able to enjoy his life. The question is, did he have to work those 7 years to get to the point where he could take that time off, or was he always able to do it? It's hard to say from this one post alone, but he always believes in working hard and putting in the time, but has learned that there is always a way to balance your life. Have a great weekend, unplug and enjoy if you can. And I appreciate Joel for saying if you can, because not everyone can. Some people are hustling the hell out of their life because they need to, because they have bills to pay and things to pay for, and so on and so forth. And, good for Joel for kind of coming to a realization in his life about his shifting priorities and how he needs to change work to fit his life. And I think that that's an important takeaway from this reading. It's not necessarily about hustle culture being good or bad, which I could definitely argue both sides. I mean, there's benefits to being a hustler in your youth, right? From age 15 to 25, why aren't you hustling your ass off? Why aren't you trying everything to figure out what career you want to do, to meet as many people as possible, to get as many life experiences as you can, so that as you enter into the next phase of your life, where you do want to buy a home or have kids or do whatever it is that you want to do, you're able to say, well, I've already tried all these things. I know what I like and I know who I am. Now let's bring things down a notch. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm 33. I had the hustle culture lifestyle. Sure, there were some toxic things about it, but there were a lot of really enjoyable things about it. And there was a lot of growth and learning and overcoming demons and overcoming different anxieties and all sorts of different things that I went through. And I would never trade that period for another in my life. But now as I get older and I'm looking forward and I'm looking about having more of a work-life balance, it really does become much more of a, well, what were the best parts of my hustle years that I want to continue? And what are the toxic pieces that I want to leave behind? And everything in this is all about growth and learning and growing up, right? That's really what we're talking about here. And maybe some people hustle more than they should, and maybe some people don't hustle enough, right? But what we have dangers of falling into here is someone looking at this and trying to apply someone who has a newborn's new perspective on life to their own, right? I don't have a newborn, so I shouldn't be thinking the same way as Joel. And you're not going through what I'm going through. So you shouldn't necessarily be thinking the same way as me. But what we should be doing is sitting down every day and looking at everything that we're doing and saying what's working and what's not, and what should I prioritize for my life, for my goals right now. So I appreciate everyone who commented on Joel's article here. We've got some really interesting stuff. Doing the hustle sounds great for a dance floor, but not necessarily when it comes to work culture, says Andrea. I'm all about dreaming big, but not to the point of exhausting your mind and body and working 24/7 and being forced to accept that overworking is largely a way to earn respect and find success. As this Forbes article puts it, canceling hustle culture isn't the solution. Being more efficient and productive with your time is. Again, it's not about demonizing. Don't look at people who are hustling and get angry. And people who are hustling, don't look at people who have a chill life and get angry. Everyone's got their own path. Everyone's doing their own thing. As long as you're happy with the outcomes you're getting in life and you're realistic about the outcomes you're getting in life. So we'll leave it at that. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Are you pro hustle culture? Are you against hustle culture? Are you tired of the hustle culture conversation? Let me know in the comments. What's going on with you? What are your priorities right now? I always like to break it down into the 3 Ps. The people that you work with, the pay that you're getting, or the position that you're in. What's most important to you? Do you want to work with great people, get paid a ton, or have exactly the role that you're looking for? If you have more questions on that, let me know in the comments. Hit me up on LinkedIn, Martin McGovern at Career Therapy. Always here to chat and help you with your job search. Of course, if you could subscribe, that always helps with the algorithm, like the video and all that jazz. And I wish you the best in your search. Cheers.